No Spot Motivation, episode 12. Took a little hiatus here. Was sent a video and watched a video by a guy named Thomas D. Na. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I looked it up. It's Vietnamese. NGO. It says it's pronounced Na. Anyway, check out his channel too. Amazing videos. But the inspiration he provided was that there's a quality over quantity concept that I wasn't really respecting. That is what I would prefer. So the Tuesday and Friday, like I was saying, that's forced. I don't want that to be what this channel is. I want it to be true expression and relatability, so that when you're watching this, there's enough built up, there's enough resonance in relatability to apply, hopefully, in some way to your life. So what we're talking about today is mental health, specifically my mental health journey. Internal darkness, external light. Robin Williams had a quote, said, "The saddest people try their best to make other people happy because they know what it's like to feel absolutely worthless and depressed." That's a projection I've placed onto the world, not really realizing that that's what it was. So to start this properly, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder type 1, mixed, when I was 20 years old. I became very manic. I had these delusions of grandeur where I was going to start a record label and do all this stuff out of my dorm room while going to school. And I didn't sleep for about a week and was also heavily using marijuana, which I had done many years prior as well. And ultimately that can trigger psychosis, which it did. Prior to that, during that summer, I also tried mushrooms for the first time, which can absolutely trigger psychosis, which it did. I thought people were following me. I parked up the street to walk down to my parents' house so that there's nobody. Right. And this went on and on. I was driving back and forth from my parents' house to my dorm room at Sonoma State University, taking Tiffany crystal ashtrays and all these kind of nice things to like create some sort of fakety and make it ambiance in a dorm room as if this was feasible, realistic, which it sort of was. I had access to certain things that could have facilitated that, but that was not the right time. What the time was for me to be in school. So to circle back a bit, this has always been something that I've sort of dealt with in my life. I've always had a incredible Hulk-like relatability to anger presenting itself. When I was younger, more so, not now. Something I've learned along the way. And I would just, everything I do is intense. I get upset intense. I get depressed intense. I love intense. I wouldn't say I hate intense. I don't want to hate. That's a wasted energy. But I will dismiss intensely. Put it that way. And I'd have these bursts and my brother would go, "Calm down, psycho." Right? Which at the time didn't really resonate. It turns out, well, he sort of had a point. So when I was 20, one of these trips back and forth, it was concerning enough to the point where my mother called the police for a wellness check for me. And at that point, they placed me on a 5150 because they could see these delusions of grandeur that I couldn't see at the time. Had me close my eyes, count to 30. Took like 4 minutes or something. I was pretty sure it was 30. And what a 5150 is they can legally hold you on 72-hour hold in a psychiatric facility to ensure your well-being. That's what they did. And it was then that I was given this diagnosis and this mental health journey began. I spent my 3 days there. From there, I went to rehab in St. Helena because even though it doesn't really recognize itself in society too much, marijuana can be very addictive. And if you have a predisposition to psychosis, not unlike myself, sorry, I gotta make sure this is recording. I don't want to mess this one up. If you have that predisposition to psychosis, it will trigger it and can trigger it and exacerbate it and sustain it. And that's what happened. So in rehab, I dealt with that. And as a consequence of this, my mother didn't feel comfortable with me returning to the house. So I ended up at a homeless shelter in Lodi, California, with Salvation Army for about a month and a half. I was in the shelter, but slept next to a guy with a swastika tattooed on the back of his head, and I'm Jewish. A little scared straight, if you will. Not the intention, but in reflecting an understandable choice and the right choice, because what rails would I have continued to go off if I continued down that path? So that was manic. What bipolar disorder is manic depressive. Very high highs, very low lows, a balance and sorts in the middle. Most people, everyone has their struggles. These are kind of the struggles. Bipolar would be like this. And the best part is you don't know why. Now, it can be remedied with certain issues, certain things, primarily sleep, making sure sleep is a priority. Diet, exercise, therapy, medication, all of the things I do. I go to therapy every week. I take my medication every day at the times as prescribed. I tried to self-medicate along some of this, and that was part of these other issues. But that goes for a lot of mental health concerns. You see, the issue with mental health is this will quote. I think it was in the Joker. It was in a movie. I'm pretty sure it was the Joker. The worst part about mental illness is people expect you to not have it, to behave as if you don't have it. Right? It's not like any other physical health ailment. You can't see a cast and go, oh, you screwed up your arm. You can't see someone with a cane and go, oh, you have rheumatoid arthritis or a messed up ankle. You're not in a wheelchair. You just look like everybody else. But the struggle is within. And it makes it harder to believe, and it makes it very hard to explain. Yesterday I was talking to someone and I told them I had woke up in a funk. I felt like it all day. Nothing happened. I felt like crying all day. Even got misty a few times. Why? Hard to say. But I don't know isn't an answer you can provide somebody after you say something like that. What are you doing? Just trauma dumping? You're just going to drag everybody else through your mud? You have to figure those things out yourself. You can figure them out in therapy. That's what therapists are for. That's why I went to school for a very long time to understand the human mind, as well as psychiatrists. But they generally don't have as much time to devote to all of your stuff as much as condensing your stuff to a manageable level via medication. So lost my track of thought. Oh, yes. Sorry. I really got to make sure this thing is still recording. This is very, very important to me. So in saying that, they'd ask me, why do you think you feel like that? And I couldn't place it. So I've been reflecting on it ever since, and this is the answer to that question. Because it is a question I should be able to answer, you would think. But it's just not that simple. So to summate it, I've been hospitalized 3 times. The first was 20, when I was manic, very high highs, and diagnosed with this disorder. Now, it's a disorder, not a disease. It's just out of order. You can get it back in order if you take the proper measures and make the proper sacrifices so you can be the best person, so you don't push people that you love away. Thing I've done with every person in my life, including my parents and my own siblings at times. So it was the second time was when I was 24, when I was suicidal. I had re-entered the world of mushrooms for some reason, also started self-medicating. I wasn't taking prescription medication at the time. I was just using weed, had no purpose of any kind at all, and very lost. And again, my mom took me to the hospital to get a wellness check, and they did not allow me to leave. They took me to a facility from there. And most recently, I went through a divorce. Not very fun, not great. No good marriage ends in divorce, but I had done everything I could to try to repair that. But a big issue in that was certainly my mental health. And dom not quod non intelligent. They condemn what they do not understand. At some point, people have a maximum limit of what they're willing to tolerate as an understanding. And that's reasonable as I reflect on it, you know. I have to deal with me. I have to wake up and wonder what's going on. I got to fight myself every day in addition to the struggles of life. So prior to that divorce, I could kind of see that coming. And I didn't really react so well. I had a late work schedule. My sleep pattern was abhorrent, but primarily I was forcing myself into an arena of lack of acceptance that was in itself crazy making, so to speak. It only had one outcome, which was a re-triggering of that. So my ex-wife at the time called for a wellness check on me then. They came, they thought I was okay, and then requested initially they thought I was okay, but they said, I'm going to take you for observation. And checked in with a doctor at an ER facility, and they weren't quite concerned, because I wasn't thinking about hurting myself, but I was looking forward to the possibility of not waking up the next day. There was hope in that. So I go through that process that extended itself a few days beyond the 72 hours for an observation that they wanted to ensure. And the day I got out, I go and pick up my son with my ex-wife from his daycare. And he comes up and he goes, "Are you better now, Daddy? You're not sick anymore?" And I just have to look at him with no shoelaces in my shoes, because the place I just came from thought I would hang myself with him. And you just have to smile and tell him, "Yeah, I'm all right, bud. I'm okay." Because you try to be strong for those people. You try to be strong for those people that you love. And in being strong, you become too weak to be the support that they need. But I'm okay now. There's two pieces of work that have been life-changing for me. One is a performance. It's not a music video. From an artist named Ren. It's called Hi Ren, which is the devil on your shoulder and the angel on your shoulder. Having the dialogue of which Looney Tunes cartoons may be portrayed at one point. But more so that reality in a mental health capacity, when it's the internal fight that you can't describe. And another, a poem by an artist named Tom MacDonald. He's a rapper and a singer primarily, but also does a lot of some spoken word poetry. I've transcribed that, and I'd like to recite it in ending this. I hope this might resonate with some people. If this helps anybody, I'd be honored in allowing you to know you're not alone. I guarantee you, it's really easy when you're dealing with mental health to feel like I'm the only person dealing with this. Nobody's gonna understand, so why should I try to explain it? Right? But you can, and you're not alone. So I'm going to put links in the description for the Thomas and Na video that sort of inspired this change in format to this channel, and more so the Tom MacDonald anxiety spoken word done by him, and the Hi Ren performance. It's an experience. It's a live performance with a lav mic and someone's soul completely vulnerable. So this is Anxiety by Tom MacDonald. I wake up feeling panicked. My pills are in the cabinet. Takes all the strength I have to just ignore them as I pass it. Man, I hope this feeling passes soon. Been to hell and back, it's barely noon. I'm scared to go outside. Shit, I'm surprised I even left my room. And it feels like no one understands how bad I'd love to join my friends. It's hard to breathe, I'm anxious, and I'll end up staying home instead. The doctor hasn't helped me much. He signs his name, I buy the drugs. I'm feeling weird, I take one out, it makes me feel comfortably numb. Man, I can't handle my emotions like I used to. It's all different now. I start to sweat. I feel confused. My fingers shake. My heartbeat pounds. I'm feeling claustrophobic every time the closet closes because my skeletons are in there, so I have to leave it open. I'm just nervous over nothing, even shit I can't control. I used to love to be in public. Now I'd rather be alone. Even though it's difficult, it's probably for the best. If I didn't make a change, I would have drank myself to death. Then I wake up feeling different than I did the day before. But then it hits me out of nowhere and almost knocks me to the floor. A heaviness, a readiness to get back into bed. A sadness that I can't explain, a cloud over my head. My deepest, darkest fears feel like they're filling up an ocean and I'm floating on the surface with no hope to keep me going. I've been down on myself. Man, I forgot how to believe in me. I never asked for help, so I just struggle with it secretly. I wish that it was something I could sweep under the carpet. Trying to hide it all the time only makes the battle harder. Man, I lived a lot of moments that I probably should have cherished. Now they seem so far away from me, I'm angry and I'm embarrassed. I can't even tell my parents. They don't have to keep on worrying. They don't have to keep on worrying. My mom and my papa shouldn't have to deserve to bury me. I'll keep hoping that the pills I have will hold me over for a while. And I'll keep searching for the strength to find my smile. Have a good night.